Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Daniel Rosal here. I've done a few videos over the course of the past year regarding the TP-Link ER605 load balancing router, and specifically the use case I've been using it for, which has been balancing between two independent internet connections, your WAN 1, wide area network 1, and WAN 2. Now the use case that I picked up this piece of hardware for was when you have a pretty lousy internet connection. For whatever reason, your ISP just isn't that reliable, it goes down a lot, and therefore you want to back up that buggy connection with a bit of mobile connectivity, whether it's a 4G or a 5G connection, just to have something to fill in those downtime gaps. Now I thought this was like pretty obscure as home networking topics go, but I was surprised that the video has got something like 30,000 views, and I continue to get comments from people about their internet, how they're getting on building internet setups like this. Now a lot of people have commented that, you know, they've also found that ER605 can be kind of buggy. Specifically, the bug I was experiencing was, if we go back to WAN 1 and WAN 2, I was getting, despite having the link backup set up correctly, I was finding that my ER605 was flipping onto the backup connection even when the primary connection was fine, or it wasn't flipping back onto the primary after it came back up following downtime. So I basically resolved this bug by upgrading to the latest hardware. When I bought my ER605 off the shelf, it didn't come with the latest hardware, and when I flashed up to the latest hardware, that basically fixed the problem. But I'm going to just show you guys another approach today, and I do this hoping that it won't insult anyone's intelligence, but just to show that manually running a failover is also really not that difficult once you have this intermediate piece of hardware running on your network. So the current situation, as you can see, I'm just going to put myself down a small bit here, is that I'm using my WAN. My primary WAN is just labeled WAN, and then I've got the first interchangeable WAN LAN port, and that comes up as WAN LAN 1. So if I wanted to, and this status is connected, and if we swap over to WAN LAN 1, status here is disconnected. So in order to manually do a failover from your first to your second WAN, you simply need to disconnect one manually and connect the other manually. So my first WAN connection, I'm clicking on disconnect, and it takes a couple of seconds to disconnect the primary WAN. And once this has gone over to disconnected, it says disconnected now, and we've lost our IP address. You can see we've lost our DNS address, we've lost our gateway. So now I'm going to jump over to WAN LAN 1, which is disconnected, and I'm going to click on the connect button to force it to connect. Now this process takes about 20 seconds because of the fact that we're basically running a failover on the network layer. And in order for that change of network connectivity of wide area network to be recognized by our applications running on our computer here, it's going to take 20-30 seconds. Now, if there was, you know, perhaps a construction vehicle cut through the internet cable, and you know with certainty that the outage for your primary wide area network, your primary internet service provider, has been finished, you simply reverse the steps. I'm now going to disconnect from my backup WAN, the mobile connection, and again we can see we've lost our IP and DNS and all this stuff like that. I'm going to jump over to the WAN, and this is all under networking, network WAN, and I'm going to connect our primary wide area network again. And again, the same process repeats. Is going to take about 20 seconds, and we've got our WAN is going to stay connected in a few more seconds, and we can see we now have an IP address, we now have our DNS, etc., and it's back and working. Now, if you do want to check, troubleshoot the system, check what wide area network you're connecting through, Google who is my ISP, and you'll find a number of ISP detection tools, and that'll allow you to troubleshoot, making sure firstly after you've gone onto your failover that you actually are connecting through your failover. Although if there's a radical speed difference between your primary and backup internet connections, that should be obvious, but it never hurts to check. There's one called whoismyisp.org, and there's a bunch of other ones, and they're all probably equally good. Hope this is useful. If you have the TP-Link ER605 in your network, probably better to use it as intended for automatic failover, but if for whatever reason you want to manually configure failover and just use the load balancing and failover feature like that, you can also do so.